Hi everyone.
Hello.
So we're a little bit late today. Sorry about that. Um, so today we begin a new series. I'm going to teach everyone how to the basic of acupuncture, how to relieve pain with acupuncture. And when I say acupuncture, it doesn't necessarily have to be done with acupuncture needles. It can be done with just finger massaging or with this stimulator that I talked about in the previous episodes, or anything you can use to kind of apply pressure. So after learning I'm just gonna give you like a very basic idea of how to do it, and you don't even need to memorize it. And in school we actually learn like 400 acupuncture points and 14 meridians, but if you are just looking to have like a pain relief effect, you don't need to memorize any of those. Actually, the exact location of the acupuncture point, it's not really necessary for pain relief purpose, and it's fairly simple if you can just understand what is the theory behind it. So in human body, like we have four limbs, right? Arms and legs, and we have a torso, we have a head, and the hands and the feet are very similar structures. So with acupuncture point, there is acupuncture treatments. There is a very important concept. It's called mirroring. So basically, if you have some pain or some numbness, any sort of problem on one side of your body, you can use the other side of your body to treat it. And of course, there are some local treatments can be done, or in combination of this mirroring treatment. They are all effective. And the acupuncturist you've been to might only use local point, but that doesn't mean he or she isn't very good. Or the one you've been to only uses the opposite side, and it doesn't really mean anything. As long as the treatment works for you, then that's the goal of the treatment, right? So today I'm just gonna give you like a few basic ideas of how to relieve pain. So I will start by let's start looking at pictures of our bones. So these are the bones of our hands, right? So 5 fingers each hand, and each finger has multiple joints. Let's see here. So that's a joint, that's a joint, that's a joint, and that's your wrist. So with thumb we have 3 joints. With fingers we have 4 joints. Okay, so and I'm switching to a picture of our foot, skeletal bones in our feet. So let's look at it this way. So it's very similar to our hand. The big toe has 3 joints, and the rest of the toe has 4 joints, and this is the ankle. So our body works like this. When you have, let's say, I should say this is actually called imaging rather than mirroring. So mirroring is basically what I said. So if you have pain on the left side, you use the right side to treat it. If you have it on your left foot, you use the right foot to treat it. So, for example, if you have pain, let's say here at this joint, and then I would needle this joint to treat this joint, and while the needle is inserted around here, I will ask the patient to move their thumb to improve the circulation and improve motion, range of motion, mobility, and after a few minutes, usually the pain here will reduce. And how to find the points here is basically you try to mirror whatever is pain. For example, if your pain is, let's say, on this point, and you find exact spot on the opposite side here. And usually when there is pain, sometimes it comes in an area, not just one point. So what you need to do is find the opposite corresponding areas, and then you basically kind of press on the area. So let's say I have pain around here, and I would just kind of palpate here along in this area, so to check which point hurts, has like an unusual amount of tenderness or pain. So usually you can find a few points that's tenderness that you never thought they were painful, and then I would insert needles at those points. For example, if I find this point tender, this point tender, and this point tender, I will insert 3 needles at these 3 locations, and then ask the patient to move this thumb, and the pain will reduce. What you can do at home, if you have this, you can, after you check the tender points, then you can stimulate it, a couple times at each point, and then move this finger again, and then stimulate a couple times to move this finger again. So, or if you don't have that, if you don't have this stimulator, you can find a something with a pointy, not really pointy, it's like a blunt end, and you can massage it at the point that was tender. Massage for 30 seconds or a minute, and move this thumb again, and then do it a couple times. Or you can, if you don't have anything, even use your finger, your knuckles, or whatever you can apply pressure to, and then move this thumb again, and that will release the pain on this side. And same thing applies when you have like tennis elbow. When there's tennis elbow pain, usually it's around here, and if you're right-handed, it's usually on the right, and left-handed on the left. So usually the pain comes around here. And so from the mirroring principle, we go to the opposite side, we look for here. We find tender spots in this area, and either insert needles, use a stimulator, or apply pressure for 30 seconds, and then move this elbow, stretch the muscles. Just try to improve. Basically, when you're moving this part, the circulation is improving. It tells your body, okay, what I was doing here goes here. So that's the idea of mirroring. So mirroring not only works from left to right, it also works up and down. So what I mean is that, for example, if you take an arm, I don't know if I have a picture of an arm here. Okay. Let's use this.
You have 4 arms.
Yeah. How about this?
This one.
Better?
Okay, yeah, that's better. Yeah, that works better.
Okay. So what I mean by opposite mirroring, up and down mirroring, means when I have pain in my fingers or in my hand, I can use this part to treat the hand. Or if I have pain here, I can use this hand to treat the pain here. So mirroring not only works like this, it also works kind of like that.
How about feet then?
Same idea.
No, I mean if I have pain on my right hand, can I treat my left foot?
Yeah, it's actually called imaging rather than mirroring.
Okay.
So imaging is a little bit different idea. I think today let's focus on mirroring first. So I have it. Sorry, a little bit ill-prepared. I have it. I have something in my computer. I'm just gonna show everyone. Let's see if you can see this. Nope, not yet. Okay, here. So you see when you put the arms like upside down next to each other, the hand kind of next to where the shoulder is, elbow to elbow, your shoulder to hand. So when there's like a shoulder pain, you can use points around the hands to treat the shoulder and vice versa. And it also works the same for the leg. So when you have pain on the one knee, you can use the other knee to treat it. And when you have foot pain, you can use points around the areas in your hips to treat the foot, or use the foot to treat the hip. Not only that, if you look at here, you can also use elbow to treat the knee, or use the knee to treat elbow, and then hands to treat the foot to treat the hand. So idea is like that. So something we normally see is, let's say you have tennis elbow, you have frozen shoulders, right? So frozen shoulders, the easiest thing is you check where the pain is by lifting your arm this way, and also back. So if you have trouble, like, oh, I cannot lift anymore, and then, oh, I have pain here, and then I check again, oh, okay, I still have pain here. Then you go to the opposite side to find the exact same location, or you find a tender point to treat this shoulder. Or you can use the points around your hip to treat this area. Any questions so far?
How about knees?
Knees? Yeah, you use left
Funny
knee.
bones?
Yeah, you can use. So normally in the clinic, when patient has knee pain, I will use opposite side elbow to treat the knee. So same thing, because there are many reasons that, and knee is such a big area, you have to find out where the pain is. When patient moves his knee or her knee, sometimes you see the pain is come from Okay, pretend this is a knee. Pain come from below or behind or on the one side or up, like above the knee. So you have to find out where the pain is. And sometimes it can be a whole area. Then you have to check which point is more painful, or you go to the opposite elbow to find out. Okay, for example, actually I had knee pain from running from yesterday, and when I was running, I felt the knee pain already, so I immediately go to my right elbow. I look for tender spots. So and then I found, okay, my so this area was very, very painful. So I started massaging while I was running, and there are a couple of tender spots here. I just kind of press on them, massage for a few seconds, and switch to the next spot. So that gave me like a good pain reduction for 50%. So I was able to run a bit more. So same thing I do in the clinic. So when there's pain on the knee, I use elbow. So if it's left knee, I use right elbow. If it's right knee, I use left elbow. But you can also use the same side. That sometimes works, because sometimes when you cannot find tender points on the opposite side, you go to the same side. Let's see what else have I prepared. So the reason, okay, let's talk about imaging a little bit. So imaging is an idea that's because our body is very similar. Like I said, the hands and feet are very similar. You can, I don't know why it works like that, but it just works. When you have something similar, the brain will think they are the same. So for example, if you have thumb pain, you can use the toe, the big toe, to treat the thumb. So if there's a joint pain here on the index finger, you go to your second toe. Pretend this is a toe. Okay, I'll use this picture. So I said second joint, right? So you look for a second joint, 1, 2. So that's the second joint of the toe, and you use that joint to treat this joint. So again, first thing you do is kind of check around, palpate around the joint to see where the painful spot is, and then whenever it's painful, you massage it, or you stimulate it, or if you're an acupuncturist, put a needle in it, or if you're not afraid of needles, you can do that. So I don't know why it works like that, but that's basically how it works. When you find something similar in your body, the nerves or the brain thinks they are the same. So for example, some people have carpal tunnels. Like when they use too much wrist, they have numbness in their fingers, and when you apply pressure here, the numbness increase. So carpal tunnel is that there are tendons in your wrist, and it's like a rubber band, and the nerves kind of go through the rubber band, and when there's tension in the tendons, it applies pressure to the nerves, so you'll feel like numbness, tingling, or pain from the nerves going through the wrist. So when you have wrist problem, you can treat the ankle. Use the ankle to treat the wrist. And so let's look at some pictures here. Oops. What's that? So you see, we have 2 bones in our arm. And you don't need to know their names, you just need to know there are 2. And in our legs, we also have 2 bones, one here and one here. So there are very similar structures in our body. So whenever there is lower leg pain, you can use the lower arm to treat the lower leg pain.
Oh, are they side by side? So there are two bones.
Yeah, if you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
So the bones goes like one goes here, one goes here. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one is called ulnar, one is called radius. And next one. So these two are basically the longest bones in our body. These are called femurs. They are the bone in your thighs. And if we look at your upper arm, it's a very similar structure. Only one bone in each of your upper arm. It's called humerus, and it's connected to this bone. Sometimes, when you hit your funny bone, I think that's why it's called funny bone, because the name is called humerus. So it's your funny bone. And then you look at this structure here, your shoulder joint. It's very similar to your hip joint. So if you have shoulder joint problem, you can use the hip joint to treat the shoulder, or vice versa. A lot of people have hip problems, and then you can check around the shoulder part to find where the tendon point is, and massage or stimulate those points, and then your hip will the hip pain will reduce. And then if you look close enough, so that's our knee. So it's connected by 1, 2, 3 bones, right?
So like this.
And our elbow is also connected by 1, 2, 3 bones. So in a way, it's very similar. Here is another picture of the knee. So, sorry, that's elbow. That's your humerus, and those are 2 bones in your forearm. With the knee, that's the femur, and these are the 2 bones of your lower legs. A little bit different in size, but if you look at them side by side, and if I don't tell you which one is which, you probably don't know. So they're very similar. So if you can find similar structures in your body, then that can probably treat the other part that is similar to. Questions?
Interesting.
So that's called imaging. So you look for similar structures, and you use whatever it looks like to treat it. And you can apply imaging and mirroring at the same time. So for example, if you have, like I said, if you have right hip pain, you use the shoulder joint, and you can use it either the same side or the opposite side. And what else is common pain? Neck and shoulder pain. How about we do some neck and shoulder pain treatment? This one needs a little bit of imagination, okay? So imagine that our whole torso, from head to our crotch, is one body part. Let's see if I have, and let's see if I have a picture here. Okay, here's the same picture I was showing. So this is your arm, that's the leg, that's from head to crotch. So if you break it down to each joint, so you have pretend this hand is your head, so it's corresponding to it's at the head level, right? And your wrist is your neck, right?
Oh, yes.
And usually your elbow is corresponding to your belly button. So the neck area is your wrist. So just slightly above your wrist. So this is your neck, and this is the head. Your fist is the head, and this is the neck, right? And when you have neck pain, you can use points around here to treat the neck pain. So again, check for tender points from I'm skipping ahead because I don't want to get too complicated, but normally there is a meridian here and a meridian here. So check one side first. If it's tender, check each point until here. From here and above, go up. You check if there's any tender points. If not, find this side. And usually when there's a neck pain, you can find the tender points in this region. And when you find it, stimulate it, massage it, and then move your neck again. Move your neck, kind of rotate up, down, left, right.
So you check it both arms?
Yeah, you can check both arms and see which arm is more tender. Sometimes when you have right side neck pain, you can find it on the left, or sometimes you find it on the same side. It doesn't really matter. As long as you find the point, you stimulate it. So, demo. So for someone with neck pain, let's say I would check here. Is it tender? Do you have neck pain right now? Stiffness? Nothing. Okay. Bad example. Anyways, let's pretend.
Okay, yes.
Let's pretend there's neck pain, and I find tender points here.
Okay, right here.
Okay, and then I've stimulated a couple times. And one thing, how to use this one, there are multiple ways to use this. You can use it directly, and that gives you a strong stimulation at the local point. Or if you can put another finger or a couple of 3 fingers on the other end of the arm, and you stimulate it, the electricity will go from here to the arm and back to my finger to myself. So I will feel it in my finger, and the stimulation goes whole arm. So it's kind of a cheating way to, if you don't, I'm not sure which point is tender, you just go from the beginning to the end, and it will stimulate the whole channel, and then do it again on one on this side, one on this side. Sorry, I don't think.
Whoops.
Can be seen. Let's see.
Oh, why don't we do it this side?
Because you have watch. Okay. So stimulator here, and put 3 fingers here, and then this side. So then ask the patient to move the neck around. Usually you will be able to get some relief. I think that's all I want to cover today. There are other. It can get more complicated, and when you use a little bit more imagination. But this is like a very basic, simple idea.
So what about our face?
Face.
Do we find any other body parts that can treat, for example, here?
Yeah.
The reason why I ask is that I've been using this to stimulate my right face, and it's been a week. Actually, today I was talking to a friend. She says that when she looks at me closely, she can feel this part seems to be a little bit tighter than here. So I'm just wondering, what if I don't want to apply it directly on my face because there are some sensitive parts? So is there any other parts that I can apply?
Yeah, remember our diagram? This is the head, this is the neck. So head is your...
Oh, so like...
So you can stimulate here.
So even if
So
I
just look at this, okay? So my eye level is probably around here. So if you have eye problem, you can stimulate areas here. Or if you have like a nose issue, like allergy, you can stimulate around this level, even on the side here. This is a very good point. It's called
灵骨大白.
yeah, it's the number is large intestine 4. So anyway, there's this point. It helps treat anything happen on the face. So
Okay.
so here, so this point.
So we can just massage it.
So around this level, that would treat the nose. When you have nose allergy, running nose, you can use that.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, that's all.
One little bonus for people who bought this. There is a... If you don't want to learn any of these complicated stuff, you can use directly on the point where it's tender. And when pretend this is a string of muscle. When the muscle is tense, it gets really tight, and you need to stimulate it so you will be able to relax. And there is a point, it's called motor point. So motor point is basically where the nerves enter the muscle, and it tells the muscle to move. Usually it's in the middle of a muscle. So when you have muscle tension and you use stimulator at the motor point, when you click, the muscle will kind of twitch. And you click up, you do like a 10 times, 15 times of twitching. The muscle will be relaxed, you have less pain. So for example, what we talked about neck pain, can you turn the other way?
Yep.
Okay, when you have shoulder pain here, you want to stimulate this region. And so when I find the right spot, then the shoulder will twitch because the muscle is kind of connected all the way up here. So when you have shoulder pain, if you stimulate here, it works, but it works much better if you do it here. Look straight.
Ooh! I just
okay.
twitched.
So let's try again. So see, her shoulder was twitching, and that will usually relax the shoulder if you do it like 5 to 10 times. Okay, that's it for today. Bye.
Bye.